Hello everyone, welcome back to the bookcase. Today we are doing something that I am terrified of. We are counting, looking at, organizing all of my unread books on this bookcase. I do not have my unread books separate currently. All of my unread books are sorted into their respective genre / categories. That means that we will have to pick some of this apart, which is so amazing. And I just want to go through everything because I want to know how many unread books I'm having on this shelf. B, I want to figure out if I actually like having them interspersed like this or if I would prefer to have them separate. Currently, I'm kind of thinking, feeling, maybe I want my unread books separate somewhere. Just because I've talked about this a lot. I struggle so much with picking books to read, and I feel like having all of my unread books in one section would actually help with that. And then I also just want to know how many I have.
Das sind 15, 30, 35, 38, 46.
That leaves us with 46 books. However, I would like to intersperse. While there are a total of 46 unread books on these shelves, I would like to add that the 10 books in the hardcover collection, I do not count them as part of my TBR. So on my TBR, I would actually say 36 books. And then I would also not count Outlander Book 2 as on my TBR because I don't think it's going to get read, so it's not to be read. And then a couple of these non-fictions as well. I wouldn't say, I'm gonna say right now I'm never going to read this cover to cover. So we're at 43. There are a couple of other ones on here I'm not sure about. I'm not sure about this one. So let's say 33. I think that's it. I think that leaves the total at 33 books. Which is honestly fine. Like if you had asked me before and what I thought my TBR was actually going to be how long, I would have probably said like between 30 and 40 books. So I think 33 books is pretty reasonable for me, especially because a lot of these books are classics. And I think maybe I'll do like a whole discussion on classics and waiting on books and why I don't care about keeping a classic on the shelf for longer. But basically, I always think to myself, if this book has been good and worth reading and recommended for 200 years, 300 years, it'll be fine if I wait another two to read it. You know what I mean? So I'm not as pressed about reading classics. Whereas with contemporary novels, I usually, if I buy it and then don't read it within like the year, I can usually unhaul it with the certainty that I was never going to read it in the first place. The desk looks insane. You have met me at a very blue moment in my life. I forgot a stack of books. 1 sec. I've just gone through and picked off every single unread book, period. I think. If you find one missing, don't tell me. I don't want to know. This is the number of books I expected. It feels so much more than I expected though. I don't know, I can't explain that. It feels like more books than it should be. I had guessed that I would sit between 30 and 40 unread books on my shelves. I am sitting at 35. This is probably the most unread books I've had in years, but I have recently kind of changed / shifted my view and opinion on book buying and owning unread books, and I just feel a lot more chill about it. So the number of books and like even how they look, I feel fine about it. It really was a lot to get them all off. But I am going to go through every single one of you. Wait, what? I'm going to go through every single one of them with you. We are going to do this together, okay guys? I can't promise that I would make it to the end on my own, so you need to really do this with me. I have my humongous water bottle that I cannot carry with one hand. Let's start with my stack of Agatha Christie's. These 5 my roommate picked up at a free little library a couple of years ago. I just haven't gotten around to reading any of them. So we have Mysterious Affair at Styles. I think this is Agatha Christie's debut novel. It is the first Poirot, if I'm not mistaken. The Mystery of the Blue Train. I think this is also a Poirot mystery. Then we have Peril at End House, again, a Poirot mystery. And Murder in the Mews, again, a Poirot mystery. And then I have two more. I have The Secret Adversary. This is a Tommy and Twopence mystery, I think. So this is a series that I've never read from. This is the first one. I have no idea what this is about, but I want to branch out with my Agatha Christie because so far the only thing I'm really actively reading of hers is the Miss Marple series. I'm actually going to finish Miss Marple this year, so I need to start spreading my wings into her other works. And then I have Why Didn't They Ask Evans, which I think is just a standalone novel. Next up, I really need to read Wenjack by Joseph Boyden. I got this one as a gift a couple of years ago, and it's so sweet and short. I really want to read it. I think it's so tiny, I kind of keep overlooking it on my bookshelf, but I think I'm going to pick this up soon. Then we have Die Freundschaft by Connie Palm. This is a book about, I think, two girls. They have like an unlikely friendship, but I have not really been in the mood to pick it up. I talked about this recently. I'm not really in a big literary fiction mood in my life at the moment. So I'm just not sure if and when I'm gonna pick this up, but I don't really want to get rid of it because it was a gift. Christmas at the Island Hotel by Jenny Colgan. Babel by R.F. Kuang, probably my most intimidating book on this entire TBR. I am so excited for this. I'm so scared I'm not gonna like it. I'm so scared it's going to not be as good as I have made it up in my mind. I don't know. I'm too scared. I can't do it. The Reappearance of The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I've talked about this a lot recently. I really want to pick it up soon. Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I have read almost everything Alice Oseman has ever published. This is the only thing that's published at the moment that I have not read of Alice Oseman's. I used to love her novels when I was a teenager, and I last year read Heartstopper for the first time and like absolutely fell in love with Heartstopper, and then decided that I actually did want to read this novel. So I haven't gotten around to it yet, but this is definitely going to happen. I just don't know when yet. And then I have Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. This one doesn't have a dust jacket. I got it used. It's a tragic story. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, then we have The Ruling Class. This, I have said, how many times have I said in videos now this is going to be the next book I'm going to pick up? So far it's always been a lie, but it is currently living on my nightstand so that once I finish something I can immediately dive into that. So I'm actually going to just put that over there. Then here's the book that I'm currently reading, but I'm only like 40 pages in, so I thought I'd count it. Three Summers by Margarita Liberaki. This is a Greek novel about three sisters. As I said, I've read the first 30 pages. I can't really say anything about that. What's it called? Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Satanto. Very excited for this. The Appeal by Janice Hollett. Very excited for this. Then I also had The Sandman. I got this one, I think a friend gave this to me last year for Christmas. I haven't read it yet, but it's obviously very short. Would like to get to that soon. Passage to India, E.M. Forster. I love E.M. Forster. The last thing I read by him was Howard's End, which I wasn't obsessed with, but I am nevertheless very excited for Passage to India. Then we have Die Physiker. I don't know if this has an English translation, by Dürrenmatt. I think Dürrenmatt is an Austrian author, and I have read another play of his. I think in English it's called The Visit, which is by far his most famous play. It's like one of those very typical school books, but I didn't have to read it for class. I read it on my own time, and I thought that one was fantastic. I've not read Die Physiker yet, but I am very excited about it. Then I have Hotel Shanghai by Vicky Baum. This one I am very excited about, but it's a chunker. I'm a little bit scared of it. This is about a hotel in Shanghai during the First or Second World War, during one of the World Wars, and that hotel was bombed, I think, by the Japanese, and so it's kind of about like the last 48 hours or something of that hotel, and all the people that are like in the hotel and what they're doing there and how they're all connected, and the monstrosities of war, I'm assuming. So this does not sound like a light, fluffy read, but it does sound like a pretty brilliant one. I have never read a novel by Vicky Baum before. Here's the thing. One of the reasons why I read so much British literature is because historically women have written in the UK for a very long time. Obviously, they still were marginalized in British publishing at the time, and many of them had to use pen names, but in Germany, that wasn't really a thing. I think at least for the UK and like probably some other European countries. Again, I just mostly read from the UK. You can find older writings, and that just barely is the case in Germany. So Vicky Baum is one of the very few female writers that I have been able to find from Germany that like has written, I think from the 20s onward. I don't know how old she was when she was born. Born 1888. So yeah, it just isn't as common to find literary classics written by women in Germany. If you have any recommendations, please do let me know. I am always on the lookout. But Vicky Baum is someone I'm very excited about. I do hope I love her works. It would be so disappointing if I didn't like her. Half a Lifelong Romance by Eileen Chung. Again, a book I've talked at length about in the last few weeks. I am so excited to get back to this. I just need to be in the right headspace. I want to do this book justice. Then I have 2 Shakespeare plays. We have Taming of the Shrew. I bought this one, I think, in Poland a couple of years ago. I know this is a lot of people's least favorite Shakespeare play. That's kind of why I haven't read it yet. And then I have As You Like It. This one I just got. I am going to read this summer. I'm so excited about it. I don't know, to me, summer screams Shakespeare comedy. Then we have The Leopard by Giuseppe Tomasi di Lampedusa. I think this is one of those very typical school books from Italy. Like a lot of students in Italy have to read it. I don't really know what this is about in too much detail, but I've heard good things. And I'm very excited about it. I have Poems by Rilke. I know BookTube fucking loves Rainer Maria Rilke, and I am in such a privileged position that I could actually read his poetry and his texts in the original, and I just haven't. Someday, people, someday. Dr. Zhivago by Pasternak, Boris Pasternak. There you go. It says one of the greatest love stories ever told. I love a love story. The Practice of Not Thinking by Rionos Koike? I don't know Japanese, man. I'm sorry. Just Kids by Patti Smith. Wie Kinder vom Bahnhof Zoo. This is like a German modern classic. I would say it is about a young girl who starts to prostitute herself. I think it starts when she's 13. And she prostitutes herself in order to fund her drug addiction. And this is a true story. This happened in the 1970s in Berlin, I think. And she wrote a column about it for the newspaper. And so this is like a very culturally significant book. They did make a movie out of it, which is shown in a lot of German schools, or was for a period of time, and really traumatized the whole generation from what I've heard. I have never watched the movie, never read the book, but I do think that it is such a cultural significant piece that I do really want to read this eventually. But I am going to need to be in the right headspace because this is obviously going to be a tough one. Then I have Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I have heard so much good stuff about this. Everyone loves this book. I'm just not sure. I'm going to keep this for now. But nothing has ever drawn me to this book. I feel like I don't know, the way this is marketed, the way that people talk about it, this sounds like the most generic advice I've ever read in my entire life. I need to wait till someone convinces me otherwise. Orientalism by Edward W. Said. This is a very, very famous book in the social science sphere. It talks about the fetishization of the East and the Eastern and Orientalism and how the narratives perpetuated by Western settlers about Eastern countries, even the concept of an Eastern country and why we call it the Near East and all of these things. I think that is mostly what this is about. Again, I have not read it, but I have read a lot of excerpts from this because I study political sciences, so this is just a text that comes up again and again. And I would really like to read it for that. We're almost done, people. I have The Mark of Athena, the third one in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. I finished the second one a couple of months ago. A lot of months ago, maybe. I just haven't gotten around to this one yet, but I definitely still Will. Christopher and His Kind by Christopher Schubert. This book looks rough. Then I have Les Liaisons Dangereuses. This one I have read quite far into. I want to say almost 2/3. Maybe like 60%. This was fantastic. I think I just got distracted or I got sick or something like that, but definitely still want to finish this. The Call of the Wild by Jack London. Again, this is one of those books. Why have I not read this? Why? Because also, this is a collection. There's 2 stories in here. So The Call of the Wild is just this little chunk. Why? I don't know. Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. The Process by Kafka. I don't know what this is called in English. Last but not least, but also thank God it's the last one, 100 Years of Solitude. I think this, along with Babel, are probably the 2 books that I am the most intimidated by on my entire TBR. Every summer I'm like, I'm going to read this summer. In my head, like this cover, this is a summer book. I haven't gotten around to it. It is so intimidating. Why are there so many words on this page? I know everyone made fun of that girl that was like, why are there so many words on that page? But like, why are there so many? I 100% get what she means, because like, why? I am going to get to this eventually. And now we need to figure out what to do with all of these. So as I'm looking at this bookcase, it's looking rough. I think I want to put these books on one shelf. Like I want to keep them together somehow. Where? How? Why would you ask me that? How the fuck am I supposed to know? But I do think I want to figure out a way to have all of these together, or like at least more or less together, because I think there are some books in here that I have overlooked that like maybe I like consciously knew I haven't read them yet, but I haven't actually considered picking them up in like months, weeks, years, whatever, even though I want to read them still. My bookshelf looks so distraught right now. I'm gonna take a break and then I'm gonna come back renewed and refreshed with a game plan. How about that? I don't have my glasses on, it's fine. We are done. I have all of my unread books over here now. They perfectly fit on this one shelf, which is concerning because I just got an email that another book is arriving today. Yes. I'm probably going to be tweaking with the like full setup. I feel like I'm going to reorganize the entire shelf now. I'm gonna be very honest. But for now, I think I like having all of my unread books together like so. I think I prefer this for now because I want to like make a little bit of a dent in this, because as I was going through, there's so many like very short books that I could read in like a couple of hours that I just never think about because they kind of get lost when they're like dispersed into the other books. I am also concerned because my classic shelf is completely full, and I do in fact have a lot of classics on the unread shelf that I don't know what I'm gonna do with once I have to move them. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how you organize your unread books. How many unread books do you have on your TBR? And I will see you all next week. Bye.